the workshop going. Those that are late can join us as we go. And welcome everyone to ACM. The topic today is, well, as I put it, TV didn't kill the radio star, neither has the internet. And today we're looking at how the internet can actually enhance radio and what the internet can do for a radio station. We've got, I see my brief here. I'm supposed to introduce myself first. I'm Dave Hotchkiss, currently on the board of the Association of Christian Media, and I've been around the Christian radio scene for a number of years, since the start of ACB as it was in 1990 something. So it's good still to see the development of radio and to see radio growing as a medium and to get richer through growing video, internet, and so on. The presenters that we have with us this morning, we've got Sonet Stofberg is from Groot, and she's got an interesting history. She grew up here in KZN. By the way, Natalie and I sit here in KwaZulu-Natal. Sonet grew up in the mighty city of Mtunzini. There's not much to it, but anyway, that's interesting. And then she's kind of gone between teaching and marketing. I guess that they're not that much different. Yes. She's done quite a bit of each, and so it's really interesting and good to have you with us. Our other speaker is Jan-Henrik Fourie from Radio Tygerberg in the Western Cape, and Jan-Henrik really has been living marketing, events, graphic design, business, brand management. That's his world, and he's now with Radio Tygerberg. So good to have you with us, Jan-Henrik. The presentation we'll have up until about 10 o'clock when Sonet and Jan-Henrik will be presenting to us, and then there'll be time for questions. And please, you can put your questions onto the chat. If we don't pick them up during the presentations, we probably won't, but we may do. We'll pick them up in the half an hour. We can have a bit of a discussion at the end. Before I hand over, I just want to open in prayer and commit this time to the Lord. Father, I just give you thanks. Thank you, Lord, for our fellowship in you. Thank you for Christian media. Thank you for radio. Thank you for the internet. And Lord, I just thank you for each ministry that's represented here today, that we can live the life that you have brought us into, that you may shine through us. And we just pray for the presentations, pray that we may learn what you would have us learn today. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Okay, thank you. And over then to Sonet, you're kicking us off? Great.
Thank you. Let's go. Thank you so much, Dave and Natalie, for the introduction and this wonderful, not only opportunity, but privilege to share the knowledge that we have come to have within the industry, also just to bless you with it. And I told Natalie and Dave earlier that remember, in all of this, there are a few rule of thumbs when it comes to social media, but most of all, you know your platform, you know your ministry. And adding to that, what a wonderful privilege and responsibility we have using our platforms, whether it is on radio or social media or the internet, just to build his kingdom. So it is also a privilege and a responsibility. And I always say in Afrikaans, yeah, it was the teacher side of me, but the W in lewe, the one V of the W is for voorreg, which is privilege, and the other one is for verantwoordelikheid, which is responsibility and being responsible. And that is what life is personally to me. If I can share a bit of testimony, it is a privilege and a responsibility. And both of these words come from a place of humility. And we know that God has all the glory in whatever we do. And in Afrikaans, we also say, van die uitsaai, from the broadcast to the inside. And that is our whole mandate when it comes to our social media page. So thank you, Jan-Henrik, for letting me go first. Ladies first, always. Not necessarily, but yeah, just to emphasize, you have to determine and decide what works for you, your listeners, everything, all these approaches, whether it's in the broad view, we customize it towards our listeners, because it's your listeners that have that responsive, that relationship with you guys, with the ministry. So I'm somewhere gonna chat with you guys in an informal way. I have six points I would like to emphasize that we are trying to honor when it comes to our social media as well, and ultimately enhancing the radio station by using social media. I do have notes. I told Natalie that I will send it to her and explained it in basic layman's terms. So I know I can't see all of you, but seeing that we are talking about social media, I just want a virtual like from you all. A like, an emoji. Give me an emoji. Like, heart, care. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Natalie. Okay, yay. No angry faces. Great. Now we can start. Okay, so it's great speaking to you all. Okay, so there was a stage where all we did on our social media page was depend on an outside-in approach. So what does this mean? So all the presenters in their distinct programs asked questions during their shows, and whilst asking for feedback on air, they referred to our Facebook page to share this feedback. So yes, it was effective because it attracted a lot of listeners to the Facebook page, but suddenly you see only questions on your Facebook page. So you only see an outside-in broadcast. So we revisited the idea of our social media page at the beginning of the year, and we then decided to revise our approach. And our focus was to remain a broadcaster, because that's what we are. So our general manager and CEO, he always says, let your main thing be your main thing. So we remain a broadcaster. So instead of depending on an outside-in approach, we revised it to an inside-out approach, similar to the gospel. So in other words, we continue to broadcast what's happening inside that will be significant to our outside audience. So how do we do that? And here are 6 ways in which you can implement or execute that inside-out approach. Still remain a broadcaster, still inform, still be relevant, and still relate. That is so important. Relate to your listeners and followers. Remember, a lot of social media followers aren't necessarily a listener. So what do you want to create ultimately? You want someone following your page to also become a listener and tune in to your frequency, whether it's on FM or DSTV. So the first thing, from an inside-out approach, throwing forward to a significant interview, whether it's an artist or a politician, any in-studio guest. And this post will include basic copy announcing the program. So tag the program, hashtag the program, where it will be seen and heard, and the time of the interview, tagging the artist or the politician, along with a high-resolution photo of your studio guest. And in this way, our programs are punted. So use your platform to punt and advertise your programs as well. And our social media followers and listeners are encouraged to tune in. And this increases time spent listening as well. Remember to not only throw forward, but back announce. Share the picture of your guest after the interview for the purpose of entertainment and credibility as well. Okay, so the second point, so that's throwing forward to a significant interview. That shows inclusion as well. You want your listeners and your followers to know what is going on inside the studio. The second important element to remember is another way to use social media to broadcast based on an inside-out approach is to share videos and pictures of what goes on inside your station. Okay, so listeners are intrigued as to what goes on behind the scenes because they only hear the front end. But what about the back end? What leads up to that front end moment? So include your listeners and your followers in the whole DNA of your ministry. I love that word, Dave. Thank you so much to the ministry. And listeners are intrigued. Any initiatives, projects. We had a video the other day where we said good luck to the Bokke playing against the British Lions, and we posted a video about that. The PR stunts, the weekly projects we do, charity project or charitable projects we share. The team building exercises. The listeners love seeing not only the presenters, but even the iron lady doing the scheduling, even the general manager that always features behind the scenes, but does so much of the work. So, introduce your team from back to front end. The geesvang, the spirit actions. And even when your team receives a gift from a supplier or a client, that is always great relationship building and PR. We had on Spring Day, we had a client that we have a great relationship. They gave us pecanut trees. So we did this heerlijke lengte video and tagged them as well. And from where they share it and show their community involvement as well. So this shows involvement and presence in your community, and listeners get to know the team that are also involved in the back end. And that is also entertaining, also for the purpose of credibility and acknowledgement, right? Okay, so the third one is use your platform to broadcast adverts and promotions from your clients. So I don't know which of you have this in your, let's say, sales department as an option, but social media marketing on a platform that, in our case, already has over 70,000, 73,000 followers, immediately you have a sales pitch. And it's paid, of course, so it depends on you, what rate specifically to ask the client based on your following. And once you've tagged your clients, they share this post and followers do interact. Here, balance is very important. You don't want your page looking like a catalog. So you as a gatekeeper must just make sure there is a balance between adverts. So the client typically sends copy, who you must tag, what hashtags you should use, and a high quality photo so that you don't jeopardize the look of your page. Okay, so we also use our page to run competitions, which is very lovely. Also balance, very important, as per request from a client. So our followers get the opportunity, for example, to post a pic of their pets having a good time. So, for example, we have a client, which is a pet shop, and every now and again, they have a Queen Pet Shop competition where we pin the post to the top of the page, and listeners and followers send a picture of whatever we base the competition on. For example, your pets in their happy place. People love animals and they love their pets and they love to brag about their pets. So that type of post reach, we get 1,000 comments minimum of people then entering the competition via our webs or Facebook page, which is immense and intense and amazing. And we choose winners and we announce it in the following day. There's a feature on pets. So it works wonderfully. So you have the social media and then you have the radio side, and they have to tune in to find out who was the winner. So that is amazing cross-pollination, and I'm going to use that word again. And so now we had a competition with Sarkinikor, where we asked for your child's best rendition of a Disney movie. People love children as they love their fur children, and that also created so much post-reach and exposure, because the winner of this competition had to have the most likes on their video. So a listener or a follower shares to their family, tags people to go like their video. So the post reach explodes. Amazing. And we even have a campaign where people get the opportunity to share a special story of a tree, because it is Arbor month in September. So these posts get a lot of attraction as people want others to like their entry. And these posts also get shared, and the post reach is massive. So you can really use this platform to initiate competitions and entries. It is really, really effective. Okay, the fourth element or thing I would like to emphasize is post frequently. Okay, so nothing is worse on social media when you click on a page and you see the last post was in December 2018. Okay, this is bad for your image. Do your best to make sure your posts are informative yet entertaining. And this is very a popular program, or the one thing we have still where we are. So we decided at the beginning of the year not to post any more questions except for one specific program. It's called Kom ons praat daaroor, and it is a very popular program. It's between 11 and 12, where there's literally a panel discussion on anything you can think of. And once a week, it's also on CakeNet, channel 144 on DSTV. And especially during these time slots, they post a question, which is perfect. So there's balance, there's still that outside in, but mostly there's an inside out. Okay, so when it is featured on television, for example, once a week, they are also it's on a national platform. So people that watch the program get the opportunity to visit your Facebook page, see what you're all about. They are intrigued, they go to your website, and maybe you get a new listener, not necessarily in your, if I can use the Afrikaans word, opvangsgebied, but via streaming or DSTV. So that is a great way to attract new listeners as well. Okay, so the fifth element, my second last one, is to remain relevant, and that is crucial. Share the news, and if you have the capacity, post articles on your website and share this article link from your website. And this enhances the clicks and visitors to your website. So we do this once a week with a project we call Jou Mense, My Mense, where myself and my friend and colleague Christine goes out and we just share the love, and we try and help people where we can, with help from SPA and a lot of other sponsors. And we write an article, we take beautiful, well, Christine takes beautiful pictures, and we do the whole package on our website, and we share the website link on our Facebook page. So there we do a bit of, here comes the word again, cross-pollination. Okay, so we can literally, we have these platforms, your social media, your website, as well as your radio platform, all working from back to front to enhance this beautiful sound and a beautiful, significant broadcast we have this privilege to be a part of. And yes, the remaining relevant. One challenge, I must say, with especially news and after a president's speech on the lockdown levels, sometimes I do have the conviction to, let's say, to beperk, to like take away the option for followers and listeners to comment, just to, I don't know, restrain negativity, because that you're always going to have, yes, and people do have a right to share an opinion, but it's more a privilege to to me personally to share an opinion than a right. So we don't want to entertain entitlement. Anyway, so okay, so when it comes to news, we try and share as much positive news, but yet remaining relevant. Okay, so the sixth and the last point I would like to emphasize today is identify a gatekeeper. I am a gatekeeper and I'm constantly checking for grammar and spelling mistakes. This happens so easy. There's in Afrikaans we say klein jakkelsies, they are everywhere. And it's so as well to make sure there is a balance, there's consistency, and of course, comments that don't jeopardize the image of the station. No racial issues whatsoever, no bullying, no. So we would hide a comment from a listener if we don't agree, even though there's a fine balance between that freedom of speech, we know. But again, the right versus the privilege. But if it's hate speech, if it's completely negative, we would have the boldness or vrymoedigheid to delete a comment. This is our responsibility from the broadcast on air to managing a social media page. So take that responsibility, remain empowered, and use your discretion as well as conviction from the Holy Spirit as to how to approach a situation. But it doesn't happen a lot. We are thankful for that. But now and again, there is someone that didn't climb out of bed, a happy person, and they want to project in some way. Okay, so the main thing here about the comments is, again, to sustain your credibility. Each presenter with us, so I'm the gatekeeper, but each presenter at the station is responsible to throw forward their own interviews and then back announce the interview with a photo of their guest. You want your page to be vibrant and colorful, that has character, but there must be a slight sense of structure. Not too much, but it must be creative, and it must keep on communicating. Keep on communicating significantly, with credit, with substance. And again, as we are on air, this is also a great and significant privilege and responsibility. Okay, that is me. Thank you. Sorry, that was this a mournful. But yeah, so Dave, I will have these six points that I made now, along with Jan-Henrik's presentation. If you would like it, if I can share it with someone, just let me know. But thank you so much. I hope it means something. I hope it.
Yeah, those are fantastic practical points, Sonet. I think some of the other participants, listeners here, will want a little bit more practical. How do you do this in practice? And I hope that if you have some of those questions in your radio station, just think about them, put them in on the chat. How do you get your presenters to take those pictures and post them, and how does that work in practice? I know this, having worked in a radio station, it's not easy. Yes. It doesn't come easy to a lot of presenters to actually do that extra work. They think it's not part of the job.
Yes. That is so true, Dave, and I think Jan-Henrik will agree. This is one of those constant encouragements. Yeah. They are so good with their personal profiles and their personal social media, but once a week on Mondays, we have an operational meeting, we have our creative meeting, we have our opening, we have our management meeting, and on Monday, so everybody is expected to be there, and it's actually such a wonderful opportunity because working hours are different during the day. So having everybody together on one day of the week, and literally in that operations meeting, we go through our station calendar, where our music director, he manages the station calendar, and he says, great, interviews for the week. Tuli Madonsela is on afternoon drive, and Elon Musk is on morning drive or whatever. And then I would literally sit there and say, okay, remember to throw forward, remember to throw forward. Actually, this week we have Ntando Mshlangu on, I think it's Thursday, at the morning drive, Paralympic gold medalist. And then I will condition myself as gatekeeper then, just to remind the presenter, remember, please throw forward. We want to pick, we want to, copy, we want to throw forward. So, yes, Dave, you are indeed correct. Try and convince them that this is part of their preparation for the following show. But yeah, constant encouragement. But it's
nice. And I think your whole emphasis with the radio station of bring your social media as part of your broadcast out, and not just not just a social chat. But let's move on. I see there are some questions, but I don't want to go into questions now. I'd rather hand over to Jan-Henrik, and then we can tackle the rest of the questions afterwards. Thanks. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Hi, everybody. I do apologize if it sounds like Saving Private Ryan downstairs, because we're doing renovations currently. So it really does sound like, machine guns going down, angle grinders. It's a little bit of chaos. So if it gets too loud, I'll move into another room, but I hope you can all hear me quite well. Again, thank you for having me. I'm going to chat a bit about, Radio Tygerberg's approach to social media, and it's quite interesting after having a chat with Sonet last night as well to see, how similar they are to one another, and how we work in so much synergy with one another when it comes to that. But nonetheless, so I'm going to try to do this where I share my screen. Let's see if this is going to work, so I can actually show you the presentation that I've actually got. Okay, can everybody see that? There we go. Perfect. Right. So, social media side, I've literally prepared a few interesting facts, and they always say don't use graphs and presentations, but this just gives you a good scope of where South Africa currently is at. And you'll notice there that South Africa has a population of 59 million, and if you look at the last line, it's the number of social media users currently in South Africa equates to 41.9%, which is a huge percentage of our market who is actively using social media. And the other numbers also give us an indication. If you look at, there were 25 million social media users in South Africa in 2020, and an increase of 3 million users. That's 14% between 2020 and 21. One would actually think, that our social media has kind of reached a plateau where, there's not many people still joining in, but there's still such a big growth in the market. A few years ago, as I finished one of my courses, there was a speaker that I studied at Vega, and he did a presentation at Vega, and basically he did a presentation about connecting to Africa. And what he did was he went through different countries in Africa. He went from Angola to Nigeria, and he looked at what is the trends. What do people do in different countries in Africa? And he said the biggest trend is the fact that people use these things. They use their phones for basically everything, And in South Africa, we're used to a lot of people using their laptops, whereas most people in Africa use cell phones for communication or emails or anything that a lot of us use laptops for. So it's very important to note that when looking at your social media strategy as well. So I'm just going to skip over a few of these, and it's basically the reasons why you've got social media when you've actually got radio, because as Sonet mentioned, the main focus is radio. The social media is merely an add-on to the service. It's a platform for engagement, but your main focus should always stay with what you're good at. But it does increase brand awareness. It does humanize the brand. Sometimes people cannot associate with the brand so much that's why you'll often see companies like Woolies and Pick n Pay and your MTNs and Vodacoms. They will often promote a lot of their posts because it doesn't get a lot of generic likes. People don't like to like marketing stuff. It's boring. They don't want to really associate with a brand that's been existing for years, you know. So except if it's a very interesting fashion brand, you know. But with that said, staying top of mind. We all know that reaction that you get when you are visiting a Pick n Pay or a shop and, you know, the bunch of chocolates at the side. It's so difficult, that temptation that you get when there's chocolate, because it's top of mind. Excuse me. It's literally there in your face. You can't miss it. And that's what happens with your social media as well. Increases your website traffic. If you've got a lot of advertisement running from your website, we'd like to direct people to your website due to questionnaires or landing pages. It's a perfect platform to do that. You can also generate leads, of course, which is a total field on its own, working with landing pages where you generate automatic leads. Then you can partner with influencers as well. There's a lot of people, like I mentioned, humanizing the brand. People trust people, not brands. They're going to trust Oprah. They're not going to trust Tesla, you know. Then promoting your content is always also very, very important. As Sonet mentioned again, promote your programming, promoting what happens on the stations. If you've got events, if you've got anything that happens, it's such a great platform. It's free to use. Listener engagement as well. It's great to find out from your audience what are their opinions about certain subjects. What do they like to hear about? You can often see, but I'll get to the part of actually using the platform to educate yourself on what your audience likes. And then staying on top of the industry news. It's always important. This helps maintain and grow your followers. As soon as a social media page gives people something that they're interested in, that they feel they gain value from, they engage with it and they will follow it. I'm sure a lot of you are on EWN's page, you know, following the news that goes on there, or some of you might be on Bulletin or Sunday Times. Whichever platform you're on, you get your news on social media from some or another group. So that's always quite interesting to do. And then obviously your targeting as well. If you're boosting an advert or generally just posting, you know, you're posting to a direct market, and it is perfect for that. So I want to tell you a little bit about the Radio Tygerberg approach. So we've got a 3-tier approach when it comes to social media. The one is to inform, the other one is to entertain, and third is to educate. Now, to start off with the inform part, it's very important for us to, as I mentioned, to stay on top of the latest news. As you can see, I posted 3 examples here in the past few weeks. What happened there, if you look to my right, you'll see the Paralympics that took place a while ago. I think that was about 2 weeks ago. We try to keep up to date with everything that's happening, try to have interviews with people and promote those interviews, because those interviews are absolute gold. You know, it's immediate, it's relevant to what we are doing. So that was great. Then obviously daily we post the news as well. We try to stay on top of that. And then third, you'll see we did a little bit of herdenkenis. I'm not sure about the English word for that. Sorry, my Afrikaans. Sometimes my Windows is buffering sometimes when it comes to my English. But basically, we did a little tribute to Charlene Richards, and you know, it was so amazing for people when she passed away to have an interview about her life. We had Lindy Stradom that worked with us, and we had her chat about her experience working with Charlene Richards on Igoli. It was so heartwarming. People really, really loved it, and it was relevant, and it really speaks to people. Then obviously you don't just want to bore people to death with non-interesting facts. You want to give them stuff that entertains them. We go onto social media because it is entertaining. You know, we scroll down, we see what people are up to, what they're doing, what's news in the world, who's broken up in the past few weeks. But we as a Christian radio station, we want to entertain people as well, because as highly important we regard it to you know, educate people and to be a Christian beacon for people in their lives. We also want to entertain them, because being a Christian is fun. And that's why we've got campaigns. We've got, we post our events. We post a lot of live videos. I saw a question relating to that, but we can obviously answer that afterwards. We do a lot of live feeds in studio. You know, that people absolutely love it when you're shooting something that's happening immediately. You know, whether it's interesting talk, whether it's a presenter doing something hilarious, like Sonet also mentioned what they did with the book of this past weekend. It really, people engage with it because they feel part of it. You know, they are totally entertained. It is such a basic thing, but it gets so much views. It's amazing to see the impact of that. As you can see, some competitions that happen as well. There will be times where there's nothing much to post. Sonet also mentioned the persistent part. It is so important to be persistent, but there are going to be times where there's nothing happening or nothing significantly happening. And that's where it's important to fish out what is happening. You know, we do a lot of prize givings, or we do a lot of competitions rather. And it's not always giving away a car or giving away you know, a weekend away or something big. Sometimes, as you can see in that picture, we gave away a mug, and a mug with a chocolate in, and this kid came in. It just made his week, you know, to come in and meet the presenters of Radio Tygerberg, and it was newsworthy. And then obviously events that we do, you'll see the last post, we were fortunate enough to be the third company, so that I was also part of that, where the Bloudere Group, which basically owns Radio Tygerberg and Groot FM, they hosted a conference with NASA, with the actual NASA. And it was great to tell people about what happened at the conference. You know, I posted a few pictures immediately after it has taken place, so that people can actually see what's going on. Then lastly, when it comes to our three-tier approach, is to educate. So being a Christian radio station, our motto is we proclaim Christ. Ons verkondig Christus. And that will always stay the basis of what we do. We will always have something to do, or we never underestimate the value that people get from getting a message from Radio Tygerberg. We've tried many approaches, and we've revisited our approach so many times. And after several discussions internally and externally, we've realized that people need a message. People want something to hold on to. And I think a lot of people might think that these messages or these motivational quotes or posting of verses gets old, or, you know, it's been done so many times. But for a lot of people, this is their message for the day. You know, this is something that speaks to them. And I think that is so important. Every time we have a campaign, we try to do a daily post. So we had a Vry van Vrees, which was in July, which was basically free of fear. And there was a whole campaign where we talked about different fears, economic fears, relationship fears. And every day we posted a verse relating to that. And people really resonated with it. You know, the same we did with Women's Week. We had in August as well. So we didn't, building up to Women's Day, we had a Women's Week where we posted verses relating to females in specific. And that was very popular amongst the females as well, and funny enough, males as well. So it is always great to share a message with your platform, and also to make sure that the message comes across quite, you know, quite well. You know, not just to use a watered down kind of message. You know, sometimes you might run out of time, and now you're just trying to grab something that that will look good, but to really think about your layout of a campaign like this, where you're sharing a message, really get some substance. Being a Christian radio station, we don't just want to post feel-good stuff. We really want to have substance to our post as well, and reference the Bible as well, because that's very, very important. Not just to say stuff that we think, but rather what is in the Bible. Then another part that we seem to that we also focus on a lot is segmentation. What does your audience want to see? Excuse me. So understanding your audience's age, interest, occupation, salary, habits, all of that is very, very important. With that said, our audience, for instance, at Radio Tygerberg is 71% female, and they are 35 and above. So it's very interesting to note that, because with saying, you know, you have to segment your market, you also have to test it sometimes, you know, and give them something that they wouldn't conventionally like. You know, you don't just want to post stuff that you think that the 35-year-old females would like. You know, we try to mix it up, but we're not going to bombard them, for instance, with sport news or Christian metal. You know, we're going to keep that to the younger audience, you know, or the gents. You know, we try to read the room, you know, understand what our people are all about. And that's why it's important to find out who your segment is. And you can often pick that up by generally looking at, if you boost a post, you know, or looking at your general insights for the month. It's important to look at that material, because you can see which posts are getting the most engagement, and then you know who is liking the post, where they're liking it from, what should you focus more on. Then that brings me to my other point, which is learn your audience. So as I mentioned, it's important to not just stick with the safe stuff, but you know, we had a chat in a meeting a few weeks ago where we spoke about what our listeners want to listen to, and it came down to, you know, obviously considering our market segment again, we said, well, they probably don't want to listen to young presenters. And then someone in the meeting said, who said they don't want to listen to young presenters? Who says they don't want to have an aspiring young person to listen to? You know, and it makes so much sense. You know, you don't always want to play it on the safe side, but you also want to learn what your audience likes more and what they don't like, because we can't just assume. I think the main point when it comes to social media marketing is never assume your audience. You have to have hard facts when it comes to that. Ways of learning your audience. Firstly, is questionnaires. That's the old conventional way. You know, having posting your questionnaires online. I know with SurveyMonkey you can post links to it. When you do a questionnaire, it's always good to have an incentive, because people don't want to complete questionnaires. Trust me, you're going to get one or two really die-hard listeners completing questionnaires, but nobody really wants to do it. People have got much better stuff to do with their lives than filling out a questionnaire. So other ways of getting engagement is also doing competitions, asking a few things. We've got one coming up now where it's throwing back to the 60s and 70s and the 80s, and finding out what are the hits and memories that people still love. And we're going to have a nice prize, you know, but through that competition, you know, listing 5 of your favorite Christian tracks of the past 30 years. You know, we're going to get some information from our side, but the listeners also get the opportunity to win something. So competitions are also a great way of doing that. And then, as I mentioned, with the segmentation element is observation, you know, looking at your insights on a monthly basis. I'm preaching to the choir and I'm preaching to myself as well, because we tend to neglect this. We've got the back end, we've got access to the back end, we've got all these graphs, we've got all this information about our audience, but we sometimes neglect to actually look at what's going on behind the scenes. And I think this is extremely important. You want to know what your audience is doing. As I mentioned, never assume what they will be doing. And then lastly, and I think this is the most important part when it comes to this, is have fun. Ladies and gentlemen, I think the biggest thing is why influencers are doing so good is the fact that they have fun with their social media. I follow a few artists, and one of the guys that has got a surprisingly big social media following is Lewis Capaldi, and he's actually a singer, but he's got this huge following because he's fun to watch. He literally presses the live button and he starts talking. You know, he just has fun, and he doesn't always have the most amazing content, but he has fun doing it. Now, we don't want to directly go with that approach, not having great content, but we want to keep it natural. Be yourself. As I mentioned, people aren't going to associate with Tesla, they're going to associate with Oprah because she's natural. She is a person, she's tangible. They want to connect with someone. You'll often see, I'm sure that a lot of you watching this video are engaging with your audience through Messenger. People want to speak to you. People raise their concerns, even if it's negative content. You know, they feel that you are the person that's listening. You know, we as social media managers have to engage with people and, you know, embrace them and, you know, converse with them, because this is one of the biggest platforms that we that are not the presenters on the radio station have access to communicate with our audience. So, lastly, and I didn't make a slide for this, but I just think it's also important to note, and this comes with the word persistence and consistency, is don't try to do everything yourself, but have an active gatekeeper. So I mentioned a very important point when it comes to having a gatekeeper, because punctuation is of vital importance. People can become grammar Nazis like you wouldn't believe on these pages, but I'm sure that you're all aware of that. But having other people engage on your page as well. It is so difficult. Social media is a full-time job. And there are going to be times where you're going to miss something. We simply, you know, there's very few people who have the privilege of being full-time employed as a social media specialist. We have other jobs. We have meetings taking place. We have events happening. And then it's important to know that there's someone else that will be able to post something. It happened this morning. So at 20 to 5, I was still sleeping, I can assure you that. But I got a call from one of our presenters that got an interview with a very prominent lady. It was actually a lady who was hijacked yesterday in observatory, and the hijackers threw out her baby, and her baby miraculously survived this ordeal and didn't get any, it wasn't hurt at all. But it was such a great interview, you know, such an inspiring interview to watch, and just to realize how great God is again. But nonetheless, this took place at 22:05, you know. So Jan-Henrik is fast asleep and stuff needs to happen, you know, because the world isn't going to wait for me to arrive. So that was why it was important that they had access to the page, so that because they couldn't get hold of me, they could immediately do the post. That's why things like, you know, having someone else have access to the page is extremely important. And then lastly, just to end it off, well, thank you very much for your time, but just to end this off, is every approach is different when it comes to social media, and the best is to try and fail as well. Some posts aren't going to get likes. Some approaches aren't going to work. I think even working as sister stations with a Groot FM, we've got so many different approaches for things, and stuff that might work on Groot FM will not work for us, and vice versa. So it's great to, as Sonet mentioned, is to find your niche and really engage with them how they want to be engaged with. And yeah, that's me. Any questions?
Thanks so much, Jan-Henrik. How do we get back to, I think just close your slide.
You probably don't want to see my screen constantly. I
can actually just move it here. Great. Thank you so much. And there is a lot for us to learn. And I'm hoping that a lot of, the other participants here will have questions you want to throw in. Just one question to kick us off from Adele at Impact. When should we use Facebook Live? Just perhaps we can, that's a good question. I'm not sure. Thanks, Sonet.
Okay. Jan-Henrik, I don't know if you want to add, Adele, whenever. I don't think there's a limit or a limitation on Facebook Live. I actually thought whilst Jan-Henrik was speaking about sharing his presentation and his ideas, I thought of actually accentuating or punting that as well. Facebook Live is, remember, a direct link from your listeners into the studio where they always wonder what's going on. So if you have again a significant interview, you've thrown forward the interview, stay tuned tomorrow afternoon or later today. And then especially when there's a live, artist performing live, that is always very entertaining. So having a live feed there, I know a lot of artists don't necessarily agree to the live feed, so just ask their permission. But, once having a live feed or someone performing live in studio, that is always entertaining. I mean, it's a free show for someone watching, tuning in from their phone, and what a wonderful way to share again what is happening on the inside and bringing it to the outside. So live feeds, we had a project or a campaign at the beginning of the year where we went to hospitals, where we just wanted to acknowledge all the frontline workers, and we were literally chaperoned by ambulances with lights and sirens, and on our way to the hospital every day, to a different hospital from the Monday to the Friday. We had a live feed from our car, from our vehicle, where we were on our way with fully dressed in our PPEs. And that post reach did magnificently because people were so entertained. So I think, just to come back to your question, when should we use Facebook Live? Especially to share the entertainment. When something is significant and entertaining and you want to include the outside to your inside. But it's an amazing tool. I don't know if Jan-Henrik will agree, but we love Facebook Live, but not if something is, not that I'd say anything that happens here is boring, but choose your interview, especially with a live performance or something exciting where you can include your listeners and your followers. Thank you.
Thanks, Sonet. That's great. That's inspirational. Jan-Henrik, anything to add in there?
Yes, actually, no. Sonet mentioned it all. What I actually want to add to that is the way that you shoot it. I think this might be common sense to most people, but I'm sure that we've all seen a few, Zoom interviews, or the whole video thing is quite new to a lot of people. but where the screens are pointed like this, you know, now people try to, you know, speak and engage with people like this. And the same happens a lot with the live videos. We've actually had a case where someone kindly took the live video, but they didn't quite look at the screen, you know. So the video was focusing on so many different elements, you know. It's important the person that does take the live video to, you know, just know what they're doing. Or, you know that they've actually pressed the live button, know how to operate it, how to set the post so that it's going to be a perfect live feed. Just the practicality, rule of thirds, as you can see, you know, choosing the middle third, you know, those basic photography rules. I think it's great for someone. You don't need to do a course or anything on it. Just watch the rule of thirds when it comes to photography. It will be relevant to taking pictures for social media, doing videos, or whatever the case may be. So that's just from a practical side when it comes to live videos.
Great. That's very important. There's nothing worse than a Facebook Live that is showing you everything except what you want to see. Okay, there are a couple of questions that have come in, and we've got time. We'll work through them. The research thing, I think, is very important. You mentioned, you know, collecting research data from competitions and questionnaires. Perhaps a little bit more. Jack Marcella says, which methods can one use to do research? I mean, those are two of them, but designing those competitions and those questionnaires is not easy. And I don't know whether you want to add anything else on that. Thanks.
So now you want to go? Okay. Cool. So when it comes to the research, side, there's so many ways to do it. As I mentioned, the insights are on your, if you're an administrator on a Facebook page, you'll immediately have access to that. But you'll always see it below the post as well. You know, you'll see what the engagement is when it comes to that. But it is important to look at the different factors when it comes to your research. Then SurveyMonkey is absolutely fantastic. I'm sure that we've all got email bases as well, or email databases. So it is great to use the email database to generate these as well. But using your social media to punt, that is very, very important. You can even set up forms these days on Instagram, for instance. You can set up questionnaires on there. You know, it's so cool. You can actually swipe right or swipe left, you know, find out things like that. That's actually a fun way of engaging with people. It doesn't always have to be a very formal questionnaire. You can get the most insights from a basic, do you like this song? Yes, no. That's going to give you a great indication, you know. Did you enjoy our program with this host for today? You know, then people are going to be quite honest, because keyboard warriors, they are active and they are ruthless. You know, Rambo has nothing on them, so they are going to say whatever is on their mind, and you're going to get great insights from literally asking a question. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Add in there?
Dave, I would like to add to Jan-Henrik about the surveying. What we did a few months ago, we did a music survey. And remember, there are so many options and initiatives you can launch in order to optimize your listenership and your station to be there for your listenership and enhance the relationship you have with your listeners. So what we did, we contacted a shopping center for a trade. We make use of trades quite a lot, but I know that's not the subject here, Dave. But so we contacted them and asked, would they like to give us 5 vouchers, you know, for listeners taking part in a survey. And we had a whole campaign where we had generic ads, from a generic ad to a live promo, encouraging listeners to go take part on in our online survey, which is on our website. So immediately you attract people to your website that haven't been there. As Jan-Henrik said, very simple. You don't want to ask them, you know, trigonometry questions or logarithms or whatever. Just basic questions. You know, how old are you? What if you have to choose between 70s and 80s, what do you choose? So the survey can, and you literally, you attract them by offering them a prize, you know, something as simple yet lovely as a shopping mall voucher. So have competitions, not too much, otherwise your air or on-air entertainment will be a bit flooded with, you know, take part in our survey, take part in our survey. So again, balance is important, but there are so many options using your platform to enhance your own platform that we sometimes miss, you know, that we don't optimize or optimally use and consume. So yeah, so as Jan-Henrik said, do the surveys. It's fun and it's interactive, and it's obviously great for the station ID. Thank you.
That's I mean, it really, this whole social media thing has opened that whole door. You know, in the old days, to find out anything, you had to send people out in the street and ask questions, and it was a lot of work.
Yeah.
Now it is much easier, and you know, stations that are not using this, please just start simple, start with something easy, and learn from your mistakes and you know, develop it. Yeah, I think you can really get a whole lot from it. Okay, then I've got a question here, Spongele Mafekeng. I do a 3-hour show, talk and music. I do live streaming throughout the show, but I lose a portion of my audience whenever I play songs because I can't play on Facebook. Please advise how I can keep them entertained during this time.
Okay, Jan-Henrik, I think I need you unmuted, so maybe we can bounce. In my opinion, Sibongile, thank you for your question. I personally won't do a 3-hour show live stream. I will do it focused and maybe throw forward something happening on your show and have a short moment or a shortened moment, focus moment where you can engage with your audience, because I can see that it's important. It's nice having someone in the studio with you. I don't know if I'm correct, Simongile, but I think you enjoy having that interaction, that constant interaction, while you also play music. What you can do is have a chat with them. You know, so you fire the music and then you look into your camera and say, so where are you guys listening from? So use that time to chat with them and ask them to maybe address questions to your side, you know, get to know them so that they can get to know you as well. So that is something you can do whilst they cannot listen to the music. But maybe for 3 hours, to have that focused engagement is a bit, maybe narrow it down to 1 hour. And when that music plays, then you have the opportunity to get to know your listeners, and vice versa. Give them the opportunity to ask you what are your pet hates and, you know, what do you love to do and where they're listening from. So that is also, getting back to the research, a lovely way to research the listenership of your specific program. I don't know if that helps. I hope it does. Jan-Henrik?
Yeah, I used to work for I used to work for Cape Town College, and we had a basically a audio cast podcast which we would live stream to Facebook, and I think it was October month in 2019 when Facebook implemented the whole you can't play original music or recorded music on Facebook anymore. So that changed the whole dynamic of you know, actually live streaming a broadcast specifically. So it obviously gave us some constraints, but it's always important to work through those constraints and see what is the best that you can do through it. So I totally agree with Sonet as well. You don't want to do a 3-hour broadcast because Facebook optimizes live stream videos that are longer than 3 minutes but shorter than 10 minutes. People are also more likely to watch a live stream video if it is shorter than 10 minutes. Because what will often happen is it's going to appear on their stream, as soon as they see, you know, a live stream is longer than 50 minutes, no, I'm not going to go and try to watch it, because I actually just want to see a few important points. Even if it's a field of interest to you, you're not going to sift through, you know, 50 minutes of material to find the point that you were looking for. You know, a 10-minute video, people are going to be invested in watching that 10-minute video. And then also to keep it, it's very important for it to be longer than 3 minutes. You know, if you're shooting a live video, you want to get in those followers, because how it works is the more engagement you get when you start shooting, the more engagement you're going to get afterwards. If you are starting a live video and you're only going to get 2 viewers, you're not going to get much viewers in any case. But if you are getting 50 to 100 viewers while you do your 5 to 7 minute video, you're going to get tons of viewers afterwards, because it's going to look good. You know, unfortunately, we work on, you know, videos that have a lot of views get more views, you know, and I'm sure that you've seen it. Sometimes you've seen an, you know, really terrible video on Facebook, but this video's got tons of views because a lot of people have started to view it. But yeah, that's my opinion on that.
No, thank you so much. Spongela, I see you've got hand up here. If you got a follow-up question on that.
Yes, I'd like to do that. All right. Thank you so much to Sonet and Jan-Henrik for your responses. My concern is that when I used to do my live programs through my own account, people would say throughout, well, I didn't care about the audio part, the music part, so I would play the music throughout and I would be able to communicate. But now, because we're using OBS and we are using the radio pulpit system, it's like really hard to keep them there. But I see what some of them do. They come in for the magazine part, like in the first hour and the second hour, and then they go during music, and then they come back again at the end with questions, because now it's discussion. But now, I've been trying to figure out how to do this. So I don't know if I would take each hour, like have something for an hour, then have another one for the second hour, then have the last hour. Wouldn't it be too much on our Facebook?
Sure. Sibo, you look beautiful, by the way. I just want to compliment you on that. Wow, wow, wow. So beautiful.
Thank you.
We did it. So, Sibongile, I wonder if, like the whole thing for me about video, you have to leave the listener wanting more. You know, especially on social media, we use the term clickbait. So they want to click on the video. They want to see what's happening. So I think maybe start and see how it works with you. You know, have the live video where you greet your listeners and say, welcome to my show. You know, do a throw forward on the live feed. And so if you want to hear more, tune in on, you know, on the FM or on the stream. In this way, you don't necessarily keep them engaged on the social media page, but you take them to your website or you take them to FM, where they wouldn't have gone necessarily. So you expose them to another platform where they can tune in, and then maybe have another live feed in the middle of the show and say, oh, I hope you guys are still tuning in, and you know, great things are happening within the next hour. So do another throw forward on a live feed. And I think as well, I think that'll be very effective, because data usage is also, you know, a big role player when it comes to that video. And there'll be a great possibility or good possibility that you will attract another audience. As you know, someone sitting at work and they have to use their phone to do work or other connection, but now they're watching your live feed. So where that would be a constraint, that can be an addition if you do the live feed, and just remind them that you can also be streamed, you know, on the internet or on a DSTV or on FM, where they can still enjoy your company or the presence of your company, and not necessarily have to use then only their phone as a platform to listen to you or engage. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, thanks so much, Sonet. Spongile response. Oh yes, a throw forward. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think all of this, it requires thinking and planning. And as you said, we've got to take into account that data is not free for everyone. And that a lot of our listeners on phones are, you know, spending the money on the data, and they want to make the most of it. So we can't just take it for granted. Right. Any other questions? I think if you have a question, just unmute, put your question in. You know, I can see here who is unmuting. And you can just voice your question. Perhaps, you know, switch your video on as well. Because I'm sure that there are a lot of questions that come out of this as to how you actually implement this in your setup. And I can't answer that question, but you know, both Sonet and Jan-Henrik, they are running the social media very successfully together with the FM stations. And so that they've worked through a lot of this, and a lot of it is just practical stuff that we've got to think through, put into practice, because we've had the principles outlined in their presentations, which have been great. So any other questions? Otherwise, we'll close it for today. But Sonet, you will add in something there? Thank you.
Sorry, Dave. I think this will be the last thing from my side. And remember, a brand is not a logo or a product. It's a gut feeling. And when it comes to brand communication and social media communication, every single thing that you do should communicate this brand of yours. And that's why Jan-Henrik and I gave you a few pointers, maybe rule of thumbs that we found worked for our brand and our communication. But the most important thing is stay true to your brand. Enhance the gut feeling that people get when they associate with your brand or get to know your brand. And I think, as Jan-Henrik also said, that credibility, that entertainment, that informing, it's so important. And to really, I know it's so much fun. Social media is so much fun, but to really think about what the significance is of the post that I'm making in order to enhance my brand and enhance that gut feeling, enhance the gut feeling of your tribe members. You know, as we speak about brands and people following brands, we speak about their tribes, you know, the Nike tribe, the Samsung tribe. So what is going to be best for your tribe without jeopardizing your brand? And you are so welcome to send us, Dave, I'm not sure, send us an email, or if you would like to connect and engage. And we are here for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sonet. Thank you so much, Jan-Henrik. I just want to conclude a little bit on that. I think if people want to ask further questions, if they send them through to ACM, info@acm.org.za, and then Natalie can forward that. I think that for a lot of the less developed stations, this whole social media thing, it's quite a, the thought of having to assign somebody to be that gatekeeper, to get your presenters to do their throw forwards and their report back afterwards, to post things on the social media and so on. It's all a lot of work, and they're running quite thin on resources. But my encouragement is just start working at it slowly, little by little. You can't get to where a Tygerberg and the Groot are in a week, or even in 6 months. But work at it. Start developing how you're using your social media, and really it needs somebody who is a champion for doing that. It's, if you're just going to try and fit it in, the station manager is going to try and fit it in between the sort of start and the beginning of the day. It's not going to work. So it requires some kind of board and management planning and determination to get there, but it does enrich your listener experience, and it does enable you as a radio station to communicate more effectively and in a deeper way with your listener than just with audio. So I think that is kind of my wrap up for the session. I don't know, Jan-Henrik, do you want to have a wrap up point?
No, I just want to thank you for having us here. It's amazing to see how many people are interested in actually expanding the social media growth, and that's why we're all here. We are here to help one another, and as I also mentioned, we are more than willing to share any help that it might pop up. I'm sure in a few weeks' time, you might get to a plateau where you feel like you don't know what to do anymore when it comes to social media. You are more than welcome to always contact us and ask any questions. And my last thought when it comes to social media is keep it real. People love people, not brands. So keep it natural, keep it organic, and people will in any case love it.
Great. Thank you. And there's some questions about access to today's presentation. All of those that are registered, you will have access to the full recording in a few days' time, plus Jan-Henrik's slideshow, plus Sonet's notes. And I think that is part of it, and as part of the package, and Natalie will work at that. Thanks, Natalie. Then next week, we have the third in the series of workshops, Social Media, How to Sort the Real News from the Fake, presented by Andrew Richard. And so those that have registered, or if you haven't registered, now's the time to work at that. I think that's about it to wrap up. Natalie, is there anything else that I've missed out?
No, that's all. That's all. Thanks, Dave.
And thank you so much, Sonet. Thank you so much, Jan-Henrik. It's been great to get to know you and to interact over this last hour or so. I'm looking forward to coming to visit. I haven't been to Takeover for quite a while, nor to Groot. Oh. So one of these days we'll start traveling again. I'd love to, come and greet you in your offices there and to be back in your home turf.
Oh, you're so welcome, Dave. Thank you so much. Thank you, Natalie. You're also welcome. And in Pretoria, we love to braai. Okay.
I'll let you know.
Cape Town loves that as well.
Thank you all, and good luck with your journey and exploration. That's what it is. Again, see what works and what doesn't. So all of the best to you all. Be blessed.
Bless you. Thank you so much, and thank you to each person who's been part of this and those that have asked questions and participated. Thank you. Bless you. Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.